Start rock.
If your house didn't sell, it probably wasn't the price. And it definitely wasn't the market. Not price, not market, and not timing. It didn't sell because there was no strategy. Most agents never identify the buyer avatar. Who is the exact person that would emotionally overpay for this home? What stage of life are they in? What do they care about? What insecurity, ambition, or desire does this house solve? If you don't know that, you are not marketing. You're uploading and hoping. Second, the home was not emotionally positioned. Buyers don't buy square footage, they buy identity. They buy a version of themselves.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like I used to drive by this neighborhood, and I actually live in it now. And I would say, man, I love that freaking pool. I love that tennis court. I love the ambiance of just driving by this neighborhood. It's really cool. And shoot, ended up living in the same neighborhood. But it emotionally triggered me. I didn't even see the house. I knew I bought the neighborhood.
Your listing reads like specs instead of a narrative, you've already lost leverage. The third reason your home didn't sell, the seller was managed and not led. There's a difference. My job is to not have you like me. Often leading clients makes them uncomfortable. And often it means telling you what protects your equity and not your ego.
And a lot of sellers, if you're a seller listening to this, you got to move your ego out the way. We're in a system right now where the prices are adjusting, not for everybody's house, but guess what? For your house, because it hasn't sold, nor have you got any offers. Or if you got offers, they're so freaking low. So with that adjustment, your ego has to be removed and out of the way. That's the only way it's going to work. That's the only way.
Managed sellers get constant price reductions and excuses. Led sellers get direction, clarity, and results. And here's what you need to remember. A listing without strategy is just hope. Hope is not a marketing plan. The market doesn't decide your outcome. Positioning does. Competition is engineered. Leverage is created. Price is defended. If you want someone to agree with you, there are thousands of agents you can hire. If you want someone to lead you, hire an agent who understands marketing. You can gamble with hope, or you can find an agent like me who is focused on results.
Yeah, gambling with hope is the pride and the arrogance right about now.
If you have a property that's listed for sale right now and you're wondering why it's not being sold, it's because the price is too high. Plain and simple. What's going on, guys? If you don't know me, my name is JJ. I'm a mortgage broker licensed here in Missouri as well as Arkansas. If you're in those two states and you need a mortgage broker, reach out to me. Would love to help you. Now, why do I say that? I have buyers that are waiting to have their homes sold. I have people that I know in this local area just from being in real estate that are also waiting to have their homes sold. And a lot of them are complaining about the market and they're saying, oh my gosh, my homes are listed for 90 plus days. No one's coming to look at them. It's because it's too expensive. That's why. Because I have other clients that have their homes listed and priced perfectly fine. And it's priced where people think it's a little low and then it gets sold within, or, goes under contract within 4 or 5 days. A flip property that I just listed.
I don't know about 4 or 5 days. I'm thinking I want it to be at least a week to 2 weeks, somewhere in that space. If it's too fast, it's too low. That's a fact. If it's there's got to be, and it's also about the pace of the market in that neighborhood too. I mean, are homes that do sell, are they sitting out there without any price adjustments and getting sold in 4 to 5 days? If that's average, then it belongs there. But if it's coming in great on price, if positioned right in the market, right, and the neighborhood is good, hey, you got to realize buyers have so many choices right now. They can choose to live in your neighborhood or they can choose to live in somebody else's neighborhood. And because they have all these choices, if you're a buyer, you have so many choices right now, depending on the market that you're in also. because some markets, doesn't matter, you're not going to find a deal, okay? But some markets, the deals are wide open. So you got to make sure that if they have multiple choices, yours just sits on the top of the pile of choices. First one.
With a partner of mine, we looked at comps and we knew where we were going to come in at was a little under probably where comps are at. It was also a little kind of a unique property. So we listed it under what we thought the original comp price was, and we went under contract in 4 days or 5 days. So pricing is key right now in today's market. And if you are a contingent buyer who is under contract on a property that you love and you want to get, make sure your agent is pricing your home accordingly. Make sure they're pricing it to sell, because we're not in 2021, 2022 anymore. Prices are lower.
Yeah, they are.
According to Google, searches for why I cannot sell my house are at a 10-year high. Now, I'm not sure when Google started tracking this, but if you pay attention to the graph,
That's crazy. At a 10-year high? That means you got a lot of people searching. They going through Google. Why the hell they just don't go through ChatGPT? That's how I say a lot of people aren't using AI. They just not, or they're using it as some low-level Google search when it has so many other capabilities. And when they find how capable AI is, I'm going to ask the question, are we still going to be agents? Like, will you actually need an agent? Because I kind of believe the lifestyle and the concept of an agent is being redefined also. So
you will see that right now have more sellers searching for why they can sell their home. I can tell you as a real estate agent right now, this is the slowest market that I have seen since I got my license. A lot of homes are sitting on the market with no activities, and the ones that they are getting offers, a lot of them, the offers are coming significantly under the asking price. Now, of course, every market is different. There are still markets where the sellers have the upper hand, but most markets in America are in a buyer's market. The inventory is also increasing, and a lot of
yeah, I had a house that went under contract at least 4 times, this past few months, at least 4 times. And the craziest part about it is I know that it fell under out of contract because the market was slowly adjusting, and they found some other deals that were out there. That's why I said this is a competition as well as sales is a competition. It's a competition. You're selling. And a lot of people don't understand what sales really is. So they feel they got the best deal. And some of y'all feel it. If you're a seller listening to this, you think and you got the best deal. Like, man, I got a house and it's 300 square feet more than my neighbor, and it sits over here. These are functionally very good things that you have those extra added things like a full finished basement. Though it does make you competitively better, but you also have to persuade them based on price and condition. You don't want it to be so, just because you have those features, you don't want your number to be so high because it justifies the features. No. Some people right now are really price conscious even when they're buying a house. They want the house, they want to be in a home, but they're still price conscious. And you have to consider that, or be ready to sit on the market for a longer period of time. And the longer you sit on the market, you got to realize the less desirable your unit becomes or your house becomes.
Areas around the country, and some areas we have 40-50% more inventory than we had in 2019. Now, as someone that was active in real estate in 2019, I can tell you in the area where I work, 2019 was a balanced market, but the buyers were having the upper hand. And I'm a firm believer that if COVID would not happen, the real estate market would have been completely different in 2020, 2021, and 2022. And if you're thinking about buying a house, please click the link in bio for how to buy a house without a real estate agent. That will teach you exactly how to use that commission check into your own benefit.
I like that.
The housing market is a hot mess. And when I say hot, I mean a hot ass mess. Houston in July, hot ass mess when it's like 112 degrees outside, okay?
And once again, if you're listening, please like, subscribe, follow for more content. Go to the description link. You can join our property list, get Georgia property, off-market property sent to you. Not on-market stuff. We don't deal with on-market stuff. We deal with off-market deals. We also deal with ways for you to fund it if you need it. Information in the bio. I'm not going to sit there too long.
Literally, it's that big of a hot mess. I just took a video and I'm going to put it somewhere on here of my street. There are 6 homes around me, and I'm in a brand new build neighborhood, by the way, and they are all for rent or lease. Okay, big companies came in and bought all of the rest of the homes on my street.
If you have a house and in a subdivision that's like that, honestly, if you're cool to navigate the next 5 years, stay. But if you're planning on moving the next 5 years, you need to do that fast. Okay, sell it as soon as possible. If you plan on moving, you're like, hey, Leon, I wasn't planning on moving, but in the next 2 to 3 years, okay. Well, be prepared to weather the storm of that, because even though Trump is talking about cutting out institutional investors from buying in neighborhoods, that may not happen. It's great wordplay, but constitutionally, can it be done? I don't know. We haven't seen anything like really clear about that. So just be prepared. In the next 2 to 3 years, it will still be a buyer's market. You will still be dealing with that. If anything, I think it would be more of a buyer's market. That's just my opinion. We've been in a seller's market, in that cyclical term for sellers, probably since 2011, 2012. It's slowly just been gaining more and more momentum. Hey, just let you know.
To make them into permanent rental homes. And the housing over here is a little bit affordable because it's outside the city. It's in the suburbs. So you could get you a brand new build, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, front yard, backyard, sprinkler system. I mean, for about like $220, $225. Okay. The rest of the nation, that's like unheard of. But down here in Texas, we know it's a little bit more affordable. And that's considered high compared to what it used to be. As a native Houstonian, that's high as hell for what I bought. But it was a brand new build and I wanted brand new. I didn't want no problems. So, hey. And I got like 4.5% interest rate. But
that's not bad. If you got a 4.5% interest rate, stay right there, bro. Stay. Unless you really, really got to sell, stay right there.
Companies are coming in. It's like, oh, brand new neighborhood. Yeah, let us buy like 6 of those homes. Give us a small discount. We pay y'all cash. They swipe up these brand new bills and then put a for lease sign in the front of it. I don't have a neighbor on each side of me. There's a 2-story house next to me, empty, and there's another house behind me. I mean, on the other side of me, empty. There's one across from me, diagonal, empty. They're empty because, yeah, big companies came in and bought them, and they're going to charge sky high rental prices for it. So you're stuck always in a cycle of constant renting where you will never be able to save up enough money to put a down payment on a house, and you're stuck paying them because you don't need a house. You don't need to own anything. You just need to keep renting. Okay.
I don't think I'm not a proponent of keeping renting. I mean, there's benefits about owning a home, regardless of what anybody tells you. There are benefits to it, but man, I tell you, the cost of doing it right now is the most expensive thing. That's the thing. Like, some people don't understand. You're going to have to do repairs on this house, and that's the thing that makes people uncomfortable once they get into the situation. It goes back to the same old song by Lauryn Hill. It is not about what you cop. It is 100% about what you keep, bro.
The reason your house is still sitting on the market is because when you and your realtor looked up comps to figure out how to price your house, you acted too much like an appraiser looks at the past sales and figures out, can we prove this value? Okay. Yes, your house is going to need to appraise at some point, but the problem with that strategy is everything that's sold, whenever you're pulling those comps, say your real estate agent, or even you are savvy enough.
Okay, compare comps. In the industry, we use the word comps. It simply means comparable homes. Give you an idea. A comparable home is any home, or most homes, that are with 1 mile radius. Typically, if it's in the same subdivision, let's say if you live in Harmon Springs, the appraiser is going to start right in Harmon Springs. If you only got 50 houses in Harmon Springs and only 5 of those houses sold within the last year or 24 months of your appraisal, then those 5 houses, if they're comparable to yours, or even if they're slightly off, they can add and subtract value based on that too. Okay. they're going to be your comparables. Okay, that's what we call comps, or we call them comparables. Now, if we got to go out of the subdivision because there's no recent sales, the appraiser has to now, it's based on his discretion, but there are rules that he has to stay within because the house still has to be like your house when it comes to, you don't want to do a modern build and compare it to a traditional house, put it like that. Something that's traditional, contemporary, something that's traditional, like a cottage or something like that. You're not going to compare that to a modern 2-story home. It's not there. They're going to look for and keep going out looking for homes that are comparable to yours and within that 12 months. And I'm going to tell you one more thing. If you find comparables that are more like 3 months to 6 months in, and you may have a higher comparable that's closer to 12 months, I'm going to tell you, 18 years of experience, 19 years, they're going to go with the ones that are more recent than that one that's out there. Unless that one that's out there really says, hey, this is a better deal than the rest of the other ones. So, yeah.
Pull up comparable sales from 90 days ago, 120 days ago, or even 6 months ago. Then what you're looking at is people who made decisions 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, maybe even 6 months ago to buy their house. Those are not the same people that are making decisions right now. So one of the most important things that you can do is you and your realtor go in and look at everything that is currently under contract that matches your description. And so this is going to get close. It's not going to be exact. We live in North Georgia, so there's almost nothing that's exact unless it's new construction. And so you're going to say, I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in a neighborhood. I need to find as close to that as possible that's under contract, maybe in the same school district. But you might also need to look in the school district next door to figure out what went under contract and why. And think like a buyer. Don't think like yourself and what is my house worth. I know your house is worth a lot of money, and I know that you bought it and you love it and you've put a lot of time and energy into it. But the problem that we have is buyers have too many options right now. So you got to see what decisions are buyers making as of right now on the market. And then the next thing that you and your agent need to do is go through the active comparables. They're still comparables. They're on the market. What are you competing against? There's only a few qualified buyers out in the market right now, and they have options. So if you're going to stay married to that price that you really want, there's a chance that those buyers will walk right on by you and they're going to go for another house. If it's important to you to move, you need to look at what your competition is, and you need to be at the top third of quality and the bottom third in pricing for comparable product. Okay? Stop.
She nailed it right there.
Thinking about what you need out of the house. If you need to get your house sold, start adopting my strategy immediately so you can get it sold. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, she's 100% right there. It's also evaluating who your competition is. You don't want to be, remember I said earlier, you don't want to put it on the market within 48 hours, 72 hours. You get a contract. Realtors are screaming, you're screaming, oh yeah, we got a deal, but you probably left some money on the table, honestly, because you want to be in that pack where you're not like the newest one, the best one, like the lowest cost one on the top of the lowest priced one at the top of the pack. You want to actually be slightly, I don't believe being in the middle, but a little bit somewhere between the middle and the top, somewhere in that middle spot. Why? Because when I look at that middle spot, especially if you have features that beat out those other features, you can slightly have a price that's a little bit more, a couple $1,000s more, and get it now. Simply because we know that we've got a full basement, talking about you just for an example, we know we've got a full basement, right? Full basement, and the other two on the top may not have any basements. Guess what? I'm probably going to get a couple $1,000s more, I may get 5, may get 10 more, simply because, I'm just that, or I might be harder on my negotiating. Put it like that. I might be harder on my They're priced a little bit less than I am, but I'm harder on my negotiating because my features are more. Keep in mind that they have choices. So you want your choice to stand out amongst all their choices. the market is shifting and sellers don't see it. A lot of sellers don't see it. They're only tied emotionally to what they believe they should get or they're entitled to get is really interesting. So
your house, it isn't clean. It's just picked up. And that could be reason number 3 that your house isn't selling. Buckle up. Buyers, they just don't look at the big things. They look at stuff like your baseboards, your windows, dust, dog hair, fingerprints, mystery smells, which we already talked about. Here's the truth no one really likes to hear. When buyers see that in your home, they immediately go to, this house probably isn't well maintained. And when they assume that, they mentally start deducting the money they're going to pay for a house. So before you panic and you do a price drop, deep clean everything in your house. And I'm talking baseboards, windows, light switches, door frames. You can replace the light switches. It's a fact. Clean houses sell faster than dirty ones.
And what's wild is that I've been in houses before and people don't think that it's dirty. Sometimes it's worth investing in a cleaner to come and do a deep cleaning on your house before you take pictures and you put it out there, especially if you know you're not going to have as much traffic once you list it, which you shouldn't have as much traffic, meaning your kids need to keep things clean, stuff needs to stay in a certain place, because in any day you can get somebody that wants to see your house and by that evening you may just have a contract. It moves that fast. And get the advice from other people, not necessarily people that live in your house, but let's say if you, like my wife has a great sense of smell. I mean, I'm like, dang, how did you smell that? Like she smelt it and she smelled it. She'll be upstairs. She's like, what's going on downstairs? What's that smell? Somebody burning food? And I'm like, no, the microwave, it got heated up a little bit longer in the microwave, but she smelt it. So not everybody has that sense of smell. Don't hit yourself upside the head if you don't, but try to get like a cleaner to come and do the deep cleaning, because believe it or not, unless you're going to sell it to somebody like me who buys houses, regardless of the condition, okay, you're going to end up running into people that are heavily sensitive when it comes to smell. And sometimes those people are the people that would pay the most amount of money simply because they love the way your house smells. Like, it smells good. They feel emotionally like, if I live here, I'm going to smell good too. And it's weird how that works, but it works.
Okay, everyone, here's an unpopular opinion, or more importantly, an unpopular truth for the real estate industry. Showing feedback is going away. It's a thing of the past. Not because that's the way it should be, but because that's the way that it's going to be. You see, a buyer's agent has a fiduciary responsibility to their buyer, not to the other agent's seller. And feedback does nothing for that buyer other than if they come back to the property and want to make an offer, they already showed their card, showed their hand on what they think of the property, but it only benefits the seller. And there are lawsuits right now that are actually challenging this, and they are suing buyer's agents because they gave up information about their buyer, and their buyer didn't even know that they were going to do that.
That's why I'm not even a fan of being a buyer's agent. And I kept saying, I think I'm moving away from being the agent, broker, and into the space of just dealing with my own investing and stuff like that, and just talking to you guys. Because at the end of the day, the lawsuits that they're having right now in the industry, whether you're a seller, whether you're a listing agent listing it, or whether you're a buyer's agent working with buyers, the reality of it is, I don't think they want us to make money. I do really believe that somewhere around the line, people got pissed and they like, damn, these guys making 3%. Like shit, 3% on 400,000 is big. They have no idea when it comes to cost that's going in, taxes that you got to pay on the back end, splits with your broker. They don't care about that. They only see the check. And unlike the guys over in Wall Street who make commission based off of what they put people's money into, whether it's mutual funds or however it is they manage these stock portfolios for people, high net worth, sometimes moderate net worth. You see our commission on the closing disclosure. You don't see their commission. You only see if you're up or you're down. You quite don't know how much they made on your trade. So a little bit different. And
unfortunately, our industry has become an industry where it's not about what's right or wrong. It's about what you can litigate, okay? And so moving forward, there's two ways that you're going to get feedback. One is going to be by doing pre-marketing on that property in a way that's actually compliant within the industry. We have a tool called First Up, FYRSTUP, and you're going to allow your office to see that property beforehand and let you know what they think of it before it hits the open market. And the second way is by understanding what feedback is. Not all feedback is a buyer agent coming through and saying, this is exactly what we thought of the property. If you get a certain number of showings and you are getting no offers, that is feedback as well. And so the industry is just going to have to get better. Agents are going to have to get smarter about how they do it, use the right tools, know what feedback actually looks like. What do you guys think about this? Where do you see it going? Are you already seeing this in your area? Let me know.
Yeah, we're already seeing that big time. Let's go to this.
As somebody who buys and sells real estate all the time, I promise you there's no housing market crash, okay? Let me explain to you what's going on. It's very simple. We have a standoff between buyers and sellers right now.
So just to give you a little perspective, he's more on the investing side. He's not an agent. Most of these guys have been agents that I've been telling you this is what they think, how they feel, and their input and adding my input to it. But he's actually an investor. So investors tend to see stuff a little bit different because it's more based on money and not numbers and not emotion, where some people get more emotional about whether they're going to take the deal, whether the offer was high enough or not. I've seen buyers and sellers get so emotional in these real estate deals. That's kind of the reason why I stay away from the buyers and the sellers. Oh, no. Some of y'all traditional people, y'all make me a little nervous. I feel like y'all going to bust out a gat and start popping people, changing your mind every 10 minutes. You got to stay steady. One thing you can learn from buyers who are investors, or even sellers that are investors, mostly buyers that are investors, the buyers have a buy box. Just like I always believe buyers who are traditional buyers just trying to buy a house, you should have a buy box. These are just criteria that you will take. Don't always be the money. You have a money threshold and you know what that is, and you should have a neighborhood threshold where you know what that is, but you got to have some boundaries so that when you find it, dude, you buy it. The worst portion that I've seen with buyers is when and this is for you buyers. I know we'll be talking about selling your home, but this is for you buyers because I'm pretty sure buyers are listening to you too. I'll probably do this deeper. It's when you let a good deal go by. And I think it's also bad for sellers too when you guys, you know, you need to be 5K less and you could take the 5K hit, but you just in your mind don't want to do it. For whatever reason, you feel like you're leaving money on the table. Dude, you know, if it takes 90 days to sell and your mortgage is $2,500, you're well into $7,500. You could have took the haircut for the 5K and been out in 30 days. And but you ended up now $7,000, an extra $2,500 in a hole. People don't do numbers. They do emotion when it comes to real estate, traditional real estate. So he's going to tell you the number portion, the practicality.
Yeah. Okay. Sellers want top dollar for their properties, unrealistic amounts for their properties, and buyers don't want to pay that. That's why we have such a slow market currently. And because interest rates are so high by design, the Fed raising rates and them raising mortgage rates, they've done this so that the people buying can't justify paying the amount that the people selling for are asking. Okay, so what's eventually going to happen is one side is going to feel the pressure. Which side is that going to be? It's going to be the seller side, the people selling, because the people selling have to sell. Okay, majority of people who list their property for.
And this is only for the people that are selling that have to sell. Some of y'all list your property and you do not have to sell. Y'all know y'all don't have to sell. You just would like to sell. You would like to get out of it. And I'm wondering why. Don't do it if you got a freaking 3%, 4%.
Congratulations. Well done.
Don't do it. Don't. I mean, just rent it out. If you don't want to deal with rentals, get a property management to do it. God, board it up. Keep your freaking rate at least at that rate, okay? Because you just never know. Trump may allow us to transfer rates to the new house. No, he may not. I don't think that's coming down the line.
Sale, for some reason, they have a reason that they need to offload that property, whether they need to move to a new location because of work and they got to move quickly, or whether they need the money, whether they need to downsize, whether somebody lost a job. Nobody sells unless they have to. That's just my experience. That's been my experience, okay? When people are selling things, it's usually because they have to. Somebody who is financially secure all around almost never sells. Very rarely do they sell. And maybe some people will come for me in the comments and say, you don't know what you're talking about. But most of the time, especially when you're dealing with people who are just regular people who just have one single family home, when they're selling, they need to sell for some reason. It's a need to sell. Okay, I'm not talking about like real estate investors, people who buy multifamily properties, commercial buildings. When those people sell, sometimes they're just upgrading to another property or moving money around. I'm talking about regular everyday people. When they list for sale, they need to sell. So what's going to happen here is eventually, and it's coming very soon, they're going to start lowering their prices. They're going to start dropping their prices because of the pressure. And when they do that, then people are going to start buying again. There's going to be a buying frenzy again. But what's happening right now is a market correction by design, right? They raised the rates, the mortgage rates on purpose because they knew the only way to combat these homes that were so expensive or these high asking prices by sellers was to make it very unattractive for buyers to want to purchase these homes because of the high interest rates. They created this standoff between buyers and sellers by design. There's nothing going on here that's unusual, okay? Nothing. And right now, the job market's not looking very good. People are getting unemployed. We're having a lot of unemployment, right? AI is also coming in, getting rid of a lot of jobs. I mean, I think, we're going to have a massive correction here soon, but it's not going to be a crash. It's just going to be a buck. We've been asking $600 for our house. We've listed it 2 or 3 different times and we still haven't sold. I guess, we really need to sell now. Let's just ask $500,000 for it. And then homes are going to move. So
forced depreciation, forced depreciation, forced accepting less than what it is. And is sad, but I think it's a challenge between uneducated agents that can't drive home the point to some of you sellers or to sellers if you're a buyer listening, and then sellers that just have this imaginary number in their mind and they're bent on doing it this season and they will sit, and that's just the way it is.
This is just a standoff between buyers and sellers. Buyers don't want to pay the high rates without having a good deal. And sellers right now are still holding on to their delusion of getting top dollar. But who do I think is going to fold? Sellers. Sellers are going to fold because people who are selling property, especially regular everyday people, need the money. That's why they're selling. And the need for money will force them to drop their price.
Yep. So I don't even push back, even when it comes to offers that we put out on people that need to sell. Listen, the offer's good. If you don't want to buy, if you don't want the offer, guess what? Somebody else will take it. At the end of the day, if you need to sell, you're going to sell. Some people think that, man, I'm going to hold out for $2,000 more. And I sit back and I laugh because that $2,000 comes 2 months later. And after that time, they've paid, like I said before, $6,000 already. Hey, man, like, subscribe, follow for more content. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. I've already been in the trenches. I'm at a place right now. I'm like, I don't know about these trenches. I'm cool.